including the famous Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876, where General Custer was defeated by Native forces. Wounded Knee Massacre, 1890, one of the most tragic events in Native American history, where U.S. troops killed hundreds of Lakota Sioux during the suppression of the Ghost Dance movement. 5. American settlers. As American settlers pushed westward, Native Americans faced increasing threats to their land and way of life. Settlers often encroached on native lands, leading to violent confrontations. Sand Creek Massacre, 1864 in Colorado. U.S. militia forces attacked a peaceful Cheyenne and Arapaho village, killing hundreds of women, children, and the elderly. 6. Diseases. One of the deadliest adversaries Native Americans faced was disease. European colonizers brought smallpox, measles, and influenza to the Americas, diseases to which native populations had no immunity. These outbreaks devastated entire communities, killing millions and significantly weakening their resistance to colonization. 7. Japan during World War II. In World War II, Native American code talkers, particularly the Navajo, played a critical role in the U.S. military's success against Japan. These code talkers used their native languages to create unbreakable codes for military communication. Japan attempted to decipher these codes, but failed. While not an enemy, in the traditional sense, Japan sought to defeat the U.S. forces, which relied on the contributions of Native American soldiers. Native Americans faced a variety of adversaries throughout their history, in addition to those previously mentioned. These enemies came from different directions, and their threats ranged from physical conflict to cultural and economic destruction. Here are some additional adversaries. 1. Dutch colonizers. While the Dutch were less prominent in the colonization of North America compared to the British and Spanish, they still had conflicts with native tribes. The Pequot War, 1636 to 1638, Dutch traders were involved in early tensions between the Pequot tribe and British colonists in New England. These conflicts led to a devastating war that resulted in the near destruction of the Pequot tribe. The Dutch sought alliances with some Native American groups, but they also participated in the fur trade, which increased competition and conflicts among native tribes. 2. Mormon settlers. As Mormon settlers moved into the Great Basin and surrounding areas in the mid-19th century, they encountered native tribes such as the Ute, Paiute, and Shoshone. The competition for land and resources led to violent confrontations. The Walker War, 1853 to 1854, this conflict arose between Mormon settlers and the Ute tribe in Utah Territory, largely due to competition for land and resources, as well as cultural misunderstandings. 3. Russian colonizers. In Alaska and parts of the Pacific Northwest, Russian colonizers posed a significant threat to Native American and indigenous peoples. The Tlingit-Russian War, 1802 to 1800, for the Tlingit people resisted Russian colonization efforts, attacking Russian outposts and settlements. The Russians retaliated and eventually established control over parts of Alaska, significantly impacting the indigenous populations through both violence and the fur trade. 4. Canadian colonial forces. Native American tribes in what is now Canada also faced colonial adversaries, particularly the British and French forces, but later Canadian government policies were a major challenge. Northwest Rebellion, 1885, led by Métis leader Louis Riel and supported by Cree and other indigenous groups. This rebellion aimed to resist Canadian government policies and land seizures. The rebellion was crushed by Canadian forces, leading to further suppression of indigenous rights and autonomy. 5. Buffalo hunters. In the 19th century, the U.S. government's strategy to control Plains native tribes, such as the Sioux, Cheyenne, and Comanche, included encouraging the mass slaughter of buffalo, their primary food source. Buffalo hunters, often settlers and U.S. soldiers, decimated the buffalo population, which led to widespread starvation and forced many native tribes to surrender to U.S. authorities and move on to reservations. 6. The Texas Rangers. In Texas, the Comanche, Kiowa, and Apache tribes frequently clashed with the Texas Rangers, a law enforcement body established by the Republic of Texas in the 1830s. The Rangers were instrumental in driving Native Americans out of Texas through violent means. The Texas Rangers often engaged in brutal warfare against native tribes, resulting in large-scale killings and forced displacement. 7. Missionaries. Christian missionaries, particularly those associated with the Spanish and later European colonization efforts, sought to convert Native American populations, often at the expense of their traditional cultures and spiritual practices. Interesting facts about Native Americans. Native Americans are the indigenous peoples of North and South America, consisting of many tribes and nations with diverse cultures, languages, and ways of life. Here are some interesting facts about Native Americans. 1. Diversity in languages. Native American communities are incredibly diverse, with over 300 different languages once spoken in North America. Some of the largest language groups included Algonquian, Siouan, and Athabascan languages. Each tribe had its own unique traditions, belief systems, and ways of life, so there isn't a single Native American culture. 2. Belief in nature. Native American cultures often had a deep spiritual connection with nature. They saw the natural world as sacred and treated it with great respect. Shamans, or spiritual leaders, communicated with the natural world and provided guidance to their tribes. Hunting, land, and animals were not only vital for their economy, but also held significant spiritual meaning. 3. First farmers. Many Native American tribes were skilled farmers, and the Americas were the birthplace of important crops that are now staples worldwide. Crops like corn, maize, potatoes, tomatoes, squash, and beans were first cultivated by Native Americans, later spreading to Europe and other parts of the world. 4. Totem poles. Totem poles are common among Native American tribes of the Pacific Northwest. These carved poles tell the stories of the tribe's ancestors, legends, and spiritual beliefs. Each animal or figure on a totem pole has a specific meaning and often represents the spirit of the tribe's ancestors or protective spirits. 5. Warrior cultures. Many Native American tribes were known for their warrior traditions. Tribes like the Apache, Sioux, and Cherokee were highly skilled and brave fighters, often defending their lands fiercely. They developed great expertise in horseback warfare, though horses were introduced to the Americas by Europeans. 6. Wild West and Native Americans. The westward expansion of European settlers in the 19th century led to conflicts with Native American tribes. Many tribes were displaced from their ancestral lands and forced into reservations. This period, known as the Wild West, was marked by numerous tragic events for Native Americans, including forced relocations like the Trail of Tears. 7. Native American hieroglyphs. While many Native American tribes did not have a written language, some used hieroglyphic-like symbols and signs to communicate. These were often carved into cave walls or stones, passing down stories and messages. For example, the Anasazi people are known for their petroglyphs, which can still be seen in the southwestern United States. 8. Longhouses and teepees. Native Americans built different types of homes depending on their region and lifestyle. Tribes like the Iroquois of the eastern woodlands built longhouses, which housed extended families. Meanwhile, plains tribes like the Lakota used teepees, cone-shaped tents that were easily portable, suiting their nomadic way of life. 9. Naming traditions. Native Americans had unique naming traditions. A person's name often reflected nature, personal characteristics, or events that happened at their birth. Names could also change throughout a person's life, depending on significant life events or achievements. For example, a child might receive a new name when they reached adulthood or after an important life experience. 10. Native Americans today. Today, millions of Native American descendants live in the United States and Canada. Many tribes continue to preserve their languages and cultures. Federally recognized tribes in the U.S. have some degree of sovereignty and can govern themselves on their lands. However, Native Americans still face economic and social challenges as a result of historical injustices. Native Americans have made significant contributions to American culture and represent a rich and vital part of world history. 1. Advanced engineering and architecture. Many Native American civilizations were highly advanced in architecture and engineering. The ancestral Puebloans, Anasazi, built intricate cliff dwellings, such as those in Mesa Verde, while the Mississippian culture constructed large earthen mounds, like those found in Cahokia, which was one of the largest cities in pre-Columbian North America. These mounds served as ceremonial and political centers. 2. The Great Plains Buffalo culture. For many tribes of the Great Plains, like the Sioux, Cheyenne, and Comanche, the buffalo, American bison, was a central part of life. Every part of the buffalo was used for food, clothing, tools, and shelter. The Plains Indians were skilled buffalo hunters, especially after the introduction of horses, which revolutionized their ability to hunt and travel. 3. Iroquois Confederacy and Democracy. The Iroquois Confederacy, also known as the Haudenosaunee or the Six Nations, was a powerful alliance of Native American tribes in the northeastern U.S. and Canada. Their system of government, known as the Great Law of Peace, was a sophisticated form of democratic governance, with checks and balances and participatory decision-making. Some scholars believe that this system influenced the formation of democratic ideals in the U.S. Constitution. 4. Traditional medicine. Native American tribes had a deep understanding of herbal medicine and healing practices. They used plants like willow bark, a natural source of salicylic acid, an active ingredient in aspirin, for pain relief, and echinacea for treating infections. Their traditional healers, often known as medicine men or women, played an important role in maintaining the health and spiritual balance of the tribe. 5. The potlatch ceremony. Among the Native American tribes of the Pacific Northwest, like the Tlingit and Kwakiutl, the potlatch was an important social and economic event. It was a feast where wealth was redistributed and social status was affirmed. Hosts would give away or destroy large amounts of their possessions to display generosity and status. The more they gave, the higher their social standing. 6. Art and symbolism. Native American art is rich in symbolism and varies greatly by region and tribe. Navajo textiles and rugs, Zuni pottery, and Inuit carvings are just a few examples of their artistic expressions. Many of their designs reflect nature, spiritual beliefs, and cultural heritage. The intricate beadwork of the Plains Indians and the beautiful pottery of the Southwest are widely admired even today. 7. The role of women. In many Native American societies, women played vital roles in both daily life and governance. For example, among the Iroquois, women held significant power, particularly in the decision-making process of selecting chiefs and maintaining clan structures. They were often responsible for farming, property management, and domestic tasks, but their influence also extended into political and spiritual domains.